Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will guide your life and you will call it fate. A quote from Carl Jung. This is episode 2 of School of Athens. My name is Quinton.
My name is Andro and welcome to the second episode. First one was already a banger. I said, everyone says like, oh, it's going to be terrible at the start. Like, obviously we're going to improve. And I said that in the first podcast as well. But we got some good things lined up for this one. So
yes.
First off, we are going to Athens, which is pretty cool. So we definitely need to shoot a podcast right there. Obviously, this is the School of Athens podcast, so it just makes sense.
That is crazy. You'll definitely see us. I think that's probably going to be, is that already the third episode we'll be there? Or third or fourth. We'll probably go to like a coffee shop or something, make it look nice. Yeah, it's quite toevallig. It wasn't really planned. We're not going specifically for the podcast. We're actually just going to Greece. But that's amazing. Like that's definitely we definitely need to do it. So yeah, super excited for that. But today's topic, or just the umbrella of today's episode, is going to be about paradigms. We'll obviously be branching out to different topics. Like Andro previously also said, you can't just stick to one topic. Every topic is mixed with 3, 4, 5 other topics that branch out to different topics as well. So yeah, we're going to try and stick to paradigms. And I got a couple of questions here, but I think let's define what is a paradigm in the first place. So a paradigm, according to Google, is a standard perspective or set of ideas. So if I can describe what I believe a paradigm to be, and that's from where I will be speaking from, is it's sort of like this mental construct that you have adopted and how you look through the world.
It's like a lens.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. So let's say these blue light glasses. So everyone is wearing glasses and your lenses are distorted in a certain way. And you can adopt the mindset that the distortion of your lenses is the paradigm itself. No one's distortion is the same and no one's distortion is necessarily correct, but we are all adopting our distortions either unconsciously or consciously. So I think that's a good way to explain it. Yeah.
And you want to make it conscious, obviously. So as Quinton said at the beginning, basically you don't make your subconscious aware, you make you aware of your subconscious. It will rule your life and you will call it fate. So you think you're going through this world, you are doing things that are consciously, but 95% of your world is unconscious. So if you don't make that conscious, you will think, oh, you are doing specific things that you are consciously thinking about, but you're actually not. So you need to make it conscious, otherwise you won't feel like you are in control of your life.
And I mean, what Andrew just said now, the 95%, that's not like a thing that he just exaggerated. It's according to Google, I guess, but 95% of everything that you do during the day is unconscious. And you can analyze that. I mean, first of all, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means that what you are doing, you are not necessarily aware of. And that can mean things that if what you have adopted unconsciously is bad, you are doing things without even knowing you're doing it that's influencing you badly. So the entire idea of adopting or what we're going to try and speak about today is to consciously analyze your paradigms and your mental constructs that you are living and seeing the world through, and then adopting things that benefit you, and then leaving the things that are not benefiting you. And you can only, to an extent, find out that by self-analyzation, by analyzing
meditation
yourself.
Also works.
Meditation, stuff like that. And then you don't know what you don't know, like we also previously said. So you don't know what paradigms are better for you if you haven't studied new ones. And the best way to do that is, I've got a couple of books at the back here. I don't know if you guys can see, but reading. And reading is just a way of receiving information from other people. So reading doesn't necessarily mean, just read thousands of books, go audiobooks, podcasts, And what's good is you can consciously choose what information you can sort of receive, and then analyze your paradigms, and then sort of keep the things that are positive and good.
There's a lot of things I want to unpack.
I
think Conor McGregor also said, repetition turns into conviction. That's very good. He's also big on visualization and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people are like, oh no, it's like this woo-woo thing. But there's this quote as well, no man walks in the same river twice, because he's not the same man and it's not the same river. So basically every single information you intake and consume through any medium, can be audio, visual, kinesthetic, I think that's the word, when you do it you doing stuff. Every single piece of information, everything that you intake through your visual or through your sensories, your eyes, ears, hands, that kind of thing, everything influences you. Even if it's like 0.1%, but over time, you know, you are a product of your information. Correct. So everything you consume.
That ties in well with just by the way, like I've improved. I am actually writing down the information and the questions that I'm looking for, because I don't want to branch off of the ideas. So if you see me on my phone, that's basically just what I'm doing. What ties what Andro just said now ties in well with something that Alex Hormozi says about affirmations. You know, so I mean, a lot of people think, and this ties well in with the Bible and with Jesus, but you know, affirmations is not just a thing that you're just shouting something in the mirror and just expecting like, oh, you're going to be this person now. Well, you know, that's not at all what it is, you know. In the Bible it also stands, you know, faith without works is dead. So you can't just have faith, you need to take action as well on faith, you know. So Alex Hormozi, for example, says affirmations is not, and you need to correct me now if I'm quoting this wrong, because I know you also know it, is affirmations is not shouting things in the mirror that you want to be, expecting you're going to be it. Oh no, wait, I'm completely...
I know what you're
Did you know what I'm talking
like,
about? What is
affirmations that? Isn't, you know, shouting in the mirror and, what is it? It's like...
No, man. Wait.
Wait. No. But first off, like the affirmations thing is like, you need to have the thing you are striving towards. Like a lot of people say, oh, focus is so important. But if you focus on the wrong thing, you are not accelerating in the direction you want to get to. So you need to first focus on the things you want to focus on and then work hard. Okay. A lot of people are like, oh, focus. But like they are focusing on a very low leverage activity, you know, that you don't have any upside, like, you know, a traditional job. Nothing wrong with that, but that's just the truth. Like you can work 10, 12, 15 hours a day, but your paycheck's still going to be the same. And if you're an entrepreneur, that's terrible. If you are a man who's like very driven and you want to achieve a lot, when you are capped, like that's just psychological death. Okay. Like I can't do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So the quote is not on my wall, but I think the gist of what Alex was saying is he doesn't really believe in affirmations, because, you know, he believes that you need to create undoubtable truth through results, that you are who you say you are. And I think a good way to look at that is, I don't necessarily believe that is 100% the way to do it, because for you to take action to create the results in the first place, you to an extent need to somewhat believe that it's possible before even taking action. And that's where what affirmations tie into. So what I think a good idea to adopt is to say what you think you're going to be. Oh, wait, no, wait. No, wait.
I've got a point on actually how to scientifically proven reprogram your subconscious mind. Like the easiest way, it takes like 5 minutes a day. I've got something that's very if you
okay, wait, let me just finish that quickly. Okay. Basically, the idea of affirmations is you say what you believe you will become, and then it's like frequency. So it's actually proven versus science that if you take two frequencies that's on the same level and you put them together, it doubles in frequency. And it's exactly like that. Affirmations is you are adopting... It
accelerates the process.
Yes, you are adopting the frequency of the person that you want to become.
And then things on that frequency start to
just come
to you.
Yes.
Because like you are on that level. It's like the scale of consciousness.
Yes.
That's what I call it.
Yes,
and like shame,
yes.
peace, love. And then at the top is like self-actualization.
Yes.
If you operate on that, it's like just things come to you on that frequency.
The most important part, probably, that's only one part of the entire process. And this is where Alex Hormozi fits in now, is then you need to take action on those opportunities. And this also, like with the Bible, having faith, affirmation, that's one thing.
As a man thinketh, so easy.
So easy. But you still need to take action on the opportunities, because your brain only has a certain amount of conscious energy that it can use on focus. Because if you think about it, let's have an example. This is a good example. When you are looking to purchase a new car, you got a car sort of in your brain. So let's say you're looking for a Mustang.
And this comes into paradigm.
Yeah.
So you see the world.
Yes. And so for some other reason, you're seeing like 40 times more Mustangs on the road. Are there more Mustangs on the road now because you're looking for one? No, it's because your brain can only focus on so many things. And now you are focusing on Mustangs. So now your brain doesn't really acknowledge any other cars unless you see a Mustang. And then when you see it, you're like, whoa.
And then it also reaffirms it.
And then you reaffirm
So they're like, oh, it's happening. And then you are on that state. And then it just Boom.
And then you need to take action because now the opportunities are coming up. And now you believe it's, the entire universe or Jesus is, giving you these signs that the Mustang is the way and the move to make, So it's definitely very important to adopt the frequency of the person you want to become so that when you're taking action, it makes that process easier. But also, and this is also a very good topic we can quickly get into before we get into the topic that you want to talk about, I think. And there was a podcast with Alex and Chris Williams as well. It is sort of the lonely phase of actually anything, but I would mostly say like in the self-development process, it's that lonely phase where you don't fit in with your old friends, but you don't have the results to make new ones with the people that you want to, if that makes sense. You know, it's that lonely phase, and that's the worst part of it. It's when you are doing new things and adopting the frequency of the person you want to become
at the start.
That's the worst part, because now you don't relate to your old friends, and you don't really necessarily, not out of like a bad place, but you can't really spend more time with them anymore because they are doing things that are withholding you from achieving your goals. But you don't have the results to fit into the crowd that you want to make new friends in, because you're not valuable enough for them. So there's like a time of like a year and a half or so where you are lonely, don't have any friends because you don't have any results, but you don't fit into the old friend group. And that is where this constant affirmation and rebuilding and taking action, taking action without results is where that happens.
So basically the two ways, that's the most efficient way to actually reprogram your subconscious, and your subconscious then leads to your conscious. So it's like this: the subconscious then brings up thoughts from your conscious. So that's obviously how you change your results in life. But the two easiest ways: when you were a child, right, you would consume information very quickly. Like you would learn a language extremely quickly. You were like a sponge when you were young because like you had to almost survive. So your brain was in this theta state. So the brain waves are extremely slow. And then you could absorb information really quickly. And there's only 2 times when you're older, obviously not a child anymore, so your brain is almost already like established or whatever. But the only 2 times in your day when it's in that theta state is 10 minutes or 5 minutes before you go to sleep, and then 5 minutes as you wake up. When you are scrolling at night on TikTok, like you are reprogramming your brain to just seek dopamine. This might sound weird, but if you think about your dream lifestyle, what you want to achieve, already feel like you achieved those goals, you are bathing in that emotion. It's like reprogramming your subconscious like very quickly at night, and then also in the morning you can just
So wait, I actually want to confirm. So does that mean you'll get more output from the input in that thesis or what state?
Theta
in that theta state. So when you're doing the affirmation or when you're in that moment, like expressing those
emotions,
then you're getting more out of it because you're more fragile in that state.
So throughout the day it's also, but like not in that intense. 5 minutes it's like 100% more effective. So don't scroll on TikTok at night. Like you are reprogramming yourself at an exponential rate to be dumb.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm not a scientist or biologist in no means, I just read a lot of books and then I'm just quoting books. Like I wouldn't necessarily say I'm, like I don't know a lot of things. We're just a messenger, like that,
and that has worked for us.
Exactly. So mostly what we're saying just comes from people that were smarter than us that we're quoting. And I mean, they were probably just quoting Socrates in any case, So everything comes down to Socrates and Seneca and whatever. But a good way to look at the conscious and the unconscious mind is it's not necessarily a bad thing for unconscious things to take place because it's natural. Your brain doesn't know what's right or wrong. It just wants to not use a lot of energy. You're using more energy when you're thinking consciously. So your brain wants things to happen unconsciously so it doesn't use a lot of energy. So for example, when you started tying your shoes in the beginning, it was quite tough. So consciously you were trying to figure out how to tie your shoelaces. Are you doing the rabbit ear thing or are you doing it whatever? And the first time doing that, it was quite difficult. But now unconsciously, when you're tying your shoelaces, you're not thinking about it. You're just doing it, and we're all doing it a certain way. So when you look at someone tying their shoelaces next time, and you'll see like they might be doing it a different way than you are, but they're not thinking about it. That's a paradigm to an extent that they adopted. Or no, not a paradigm, more like just a habit. But the reason why your brain made that unconscious is because you did it so many times that specific way that your brain doesn't want to use energy consciously to do it anymore. So it turns it into the unconscious way. And how you can change that is by just doing more things in a different way that has to do with that subject. So let's say you want to unconsciously now tie your shoelaces a different way.
It's going to take a lot of energy to do that.
So at the start,
people give up because it's difficult.
But you can do that without even taking action, because it's just, and I'm going to butcher this completely, but to an extent, this is what it is. Your brain has neurons, and between it has things that channel the idea and the idea to take action on the thing itself between neurons. And I think you call that an axon or something like that, or dendrite. But the idea is that the more intense like pathways between two neurons there are, the more like then your brain will choose that thing to be unconscious and not the other thing. So if you want to change the way you tie your shoelaces, you just need to create more pathways between two neurons in that way than the previous one.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of time and effort.
Yes, and you don't have to do that by just tying your shoelaces more than what you have done this way now. You can physically do that by thinking about it. And that's what our affirmation is by taking control consciously until it becomes unconscious. And it ties very good into the Carl Jung quote we said in the beginning, from if you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will guide your life and you'll call it fate. And basically what that just means is 95% of what you do in the day is unconscious. Things that you're doing without even thinking about it. And if you don't consciously become aware of those things, then literally the things in your life that's happening that you're not even aware of, you will start to call that fate. And it's actually just your unconscious mind, but you're calling it fate. I'm not making the money that I'm looking for. Oh, I've bad genetics, I'm not looking good. Meanwhile, 95% of the things you're doing in the day is just terrible for you in that division. And it's because you've adopted that paradigm and way of thinking, and consciously you're not aware of it.
And another thing that ties into the, like your brain doesn't know what's right or wrong. So I think I want to mention on that is like, your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. Like when you wake up from a nightmare, you're actually sweating and you're So you actually experience that. And also when you are doing these, affirmations and stuff like that, or visualizing your future, your brain doesn't know the difference. So every time you do that, it's like you are strengthening the path between the neurons, like Quinton said, but you're not even doing it. So like a lot of people, like I think Michael Jordan or whatever, like they were practicing their shots in their mind before they actually did it. There's a lot of studies on people that did something, by not doing that, sitting at their desk and like practicing the hoops. And like ones that actually practiced got like, let's say out of 15 shots, they got like, 14. And the ones who practiced by just thinking about it got 13. So it saves a lot of time as well. So you don't have to go to the court. Actually, obviously both is important, but like you can do things without doing them in your imagination.
Just quickly analyze if any of the things that you're hearing right now is to an extent feeling very far-fetched or untrue, or what do you mean like this is not possible, woo-woo, or that in itself is a paradigm that you have adopted to believe that it's not true in the first place. And I'm not necessarily saying that what we are saying is the only way to do things and this is 100% correct, whatever. This is obviously work for us. That's why we're talking about it. And according to a lot of the books that we read, this is probably the best way to do it as well. But a good way is to analyze and do your own research. Like you're hearing this now go do your own research. And the more research you do, the more conviction you'll have in the thing in and of itself. But the fact, that voice that you're hearing inside of you that's saying, oh, this can't be true, or no, my situation is different, or that's physically a negative paradigm that you have adopted. Because think of every successful person in any division you can think of, like even successful chefs, or like athletes or CEOs, whatever. They are all saying these cliche things from if you can think it and believe it, like you'll have it, or, just put in more work or whatever. And then we're all thinking, our situation is different. This guy doesn't know what I'm going through. I will never make it, because like that is physically a paradigm that you have adopted. You need to remove that paradigm and start doing the things that the successful people are saying. If Michael Jordan says, you can do it by physically affirming the action in your brain, like who are you to tell him he's wrong? Like he's probably more successful than you are with the thing that he wanted to devote his life to. And that's sort of just the way how I sort of saw the best way to live is to be strong in your beliefs and to be convicted in them, but to put your beliefs on the table when you're doing research with the idea to detach your ego from it and then take the things and hold the things that has a positive effect on your life and then leave the rest. And that's what you have to do is when you do studying, reading books, going through podcasts, is put your beliefs on the table while you're reading that book. And then after the book, if there's something in there that might be beneficial, keep it. And then you try it, test it. Andro always says you must be a mad scientist if you want to elaborate on that.
That never happened with me. Like I always related with other people. Like a lot of times when I saw YouTube videos, I was never like, oh, like he doesn't know my situation. I always related with others. Because Marcus Aurelius also said, like, if it's done, like, consider it within your reach. If it's done by a human being, what makes you special? Like, we are all basically the same. We are 99.999% the same because of our DNA, like proven facts, literally. So what makes you different? We are all actually the same.
And that is a paradigm he's operating out of. You see how powerful paradigm can be? If you adopt that way of thinking, like, bro, your life will change, you know? If you believe that if Tiger Woods can play good golf like that, there's no reason for me not to be able to do it as well. And then you're going to analyze, how is he doing it? Well, he's practicing 10 hours a day, you know, for 6 days a week.
You also need to play, like, a nuance of that is, like, you have to play to your strengths as well. Like, you got, like, I'm not going to be the next Michael Jordan. Like, I'm not 6'7", you know?
No.
So, like, the worst thing ever is to grow old and realize you got good at the wrong thing. Like, a lot of people get old and they realize they got very good at the wrong job. Like, that's terrible. Yeah.
There's definitely a balance with all of these things. There's a balance with everything, you know? So, like, we also spoke in the call on the way back from box. We actually came to a conclusion that balance in and of itself in all domains of your life is probably the most difficult thing that you will because everybody thinks, oh, balance, you want to be,
it's like
it's monk mode,
it's
every
50,
single
50.
It's
like 100
bro.
That's what balance is.
Because
it's like 100% everything.
I mean, just think about this, for example, for the people who know what monk mode is. Okay, well, if you don't, it's basically just a time frame that you are devoting to just self-improvement. So that means, like, no drinking, no socializing, literally just working, putting in 10, 12, 14 hours a day.
It's like restrictions, basically.
Restrictions, yeah. And so that's obviously not balanced. That is intense, extreme in that one the division. And if you go and analyze this, now this might be a bit controversial, but that's what I've experienced, is that it's easier for me to 100% fully devote myself to one thing and completely scrap everything else than what it is for me to limit the amount of work that I need to do. So let's say, for example, balance would be I'll work from 8 till 5 or whatever, and that's only when I'll work. And then switch off your brain, and now you need to go to the gym or socialize, family. It's like, it's almost impossible for me to switch off my brain from thinking in the future to being now in the present with family and friends if my work isn't done or if there's something stressful happening. It's like, I would much rather want to put in the work to finish that before I can be present. And that is what it is balance, is being able to switch from living in the future, pursuing that goal, and being in the present.
That balance is difficult. Like, a lot of times when I used to work in my room, like, there's a lot of excuses other people make. Like, I was making good money just in my room with my bedroom in the back, like, just, you know, closing sales calls.
With the Superman onesie on, okay? We must see that onesie.
Yeah. Like, with my gown. Obviously, my camera was off. So people thought, like, yo,
not this onesie gown, yeah.
But anyway, what was I on to say? Oh, yeah. Like, when I was working and, you know, on my laptop and my mom would come in the room, like, I almost couldn't talk to her because, like, I was so focused and stuff and I couldn't be present with her. So it's a lot more difficult to actually switch off, like, 7 p.m. no work.
Yeah.
That's
impossible.
Like, I would work from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Literally, that was obviously difficult, but it's also easy in a sense because I had nothing else to focus on.
Yeah.
But at times, I think that's important, especially when you start your own business. You have to go through times of extremities, but then you need to bring in the balance a bit.
I'm just saying you worked from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. It's also important to note, and I also think that's what a lot of other people also mean when they say that is, what do you mean by work anyways? You know, so for us, anything that has to do with improving ourselves and the work environment or the work itself is work. For example, people say, oh, they don't have time to gym because they work and whatever. It's like, no, bro, gym is work. You know, reading is work. Listening to podcasts is work. Networking is work. Sun maxing, fruit maxing, walking outside, that is work. Why? Because you can't have a good, productive life and work without those things. So that's a good perspective to adopt. So when I'm saying I'm working from I wake up till like 8 p.m., that is my gym included, walking, like reading, and then actually working for financial gain, obviously. But those other things incorporate with that. Like, I mean, I can't do what I'm doing now if I wasn't reading every day or walking or sun maxing or going to the gym. I wouldn't be the same person and I wouldn't be operating out of the mindset and the quality of output wouldn't be the same because the inputs aren't the same. So that's also just something to note.
You are the product. That's the thing. So when you work and you go to the gym, you read, you are working on yourself and you are the product. There's a lot of countless examples where I've closed a client just because I had good energy. And that good energy came from me, I just finished the tan session and I ate some, good whole foods. And I was on a call, energetic. At the end of the call, they buy because of you. So it's more like 95% or people buy off emotion and justify with logic. So emotion is literally just your energy, like how you are on the sales call. And that all comes down to your energy state and the things you consume, which is like, sunlight, good food, all that stuff. But a lot of people slack on that because they say, I just need to focus on work. Like there's a book as well, Deep Work by Cal Newport. You can't work harder. And like you can only work like 4 hours a day. Productive work. Obviously there's like networking and talking with your clients, all that's work, but that doesn't take as much cognitive energy. But like 4 hours of deep work is all you really can do, scientifically backed. So like you working 16 hours a day, I can tell you that's not true.
And I also think it's to an extent you have to earn the privilege to be able to say that sun maxing is part of your job. There's a lot of people that might be thinking, or they're waitering or bartending or whatever for like 12-hour days. Now we're saying, your sun maxing is work. It's like that person, like, what are you fucking mean? Like, obviously I would rather want to be in the sun than be working. So, fair enough, there was obviously a time period that I was doing real estate, marketing and stuff for business that I actually loved that work, but financially I was very capped. So I had to move on to a different business model. And that's just something that we can talk about is business models in and of itself and choosing the right one. But you have to put in the work, and that's part of that lonely part from you putting in the inputs of someone that's supposed to get a certain type of output, but you don't have the results or the outputs yet. And it's that time frame that you have to still pursue in it. You have to earn the lifestyle that you want to deserve.
To get what you want, you have to deserve it.
You have to deserve it. And there is a time frame that you have to put in the extra work that's not really necessarily possible. And we're not ignorant to that. You can't, from the get-go, do sun maxing.
I've got a story on that.
There's definitely some 80-20 things. Like I would recommend everyone to walk without a shirt and out shoes for at least.
If you're a guy, then
just to get a lot of skin in the sun, for at least 30 minutes a day. Like that's a non-negotiable. But hitting 2-hour gym sessions while saunaing, fair enough. That might not be possible for everyone. That's a good goal to have, is to be able to earn the right to do that, because I promise you, it will increase the output of your input if you do that. And that's a quote that comes from winners win and losers lose. The more you win, the more you will win if you reinvest in the winning. Or that creates the winning, because if you work harder, you'll probably free up more time. And then what a lot of people do is they use that free time to do stupid stuff. It's like, bro, come on. Now you reinvest that free time into things that will improve the output of the input. And that would be sun maxing. That would be hitting the gym for a bit longer, doing sauna, reading books, doing networking. And then your output would just increasingly grow.
Yeah, I think that ties well into the next part we can talk about is motivations. Like a lot of people know exactly what they need to do, but they're just not doing it. So you need to realize why am I not doing it? And this also ties in because like I said, everything is almost the same. It ties in with the unconscious stuff. If you don't know what drives you, how are you gonna work when you don't want to, So there's 4 motivations. It's basically freedom is one, material things is one, mastery is one, and then basically women or mating. Okay, so it's the 4 M's, as Ty Lopez like to call it.
Do you want to quickly explain those? Okay, you're gonna.
You want to know which one drives you, so you can tap into that when you are at a low point or you not, list for work, whatever. So mastery is basically status. So that's just being well known among, peers or other people, right? And then the other one is material things. So like nice cars, watches. I'm very low on that. I'm like a 56 out of 100. So obviously still want a nice car, but it's not big. And then women is one, like mating. Good example is Genghis Khan. He is probably motivated by women. Another one is Hugh Hefner, right? That's a good example. And the last one is freedom. So I'm pretty big on that because I hated authority growing up. So I wanted to do my own thing, not listen to anyone else. So that's why I obviously started my own business. And also the freedom of not being tied to one spot, traveling, that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm also traveling right now, it also opens up a lot of creativity because when you're just in one spot, like you kind of don't have new thoughts. So you want to change up the environment a bit. So yeah, those are the 4 motivations. You need to, I think the quiz is like 4 M's, Tai Lopez. So just type in 4 M's, Tai Lopez.
Yeah.
And you need to know thyself. Like I think it's
know thyself.
Marcus Aurelius, right?
Yes.
So like you need to know yourself, so you can actually play to your strengths. Like I said with Michael Jordan example.
Yeah. So just to show that we are about the life, we are about this life. This is not just, we're not just saying things and we're not doing it, or like we're physically doing it. So this is a good example. So let me show this to the camera. So this is a self-transcender worksheet. So, I mean, the name, is not really important, but the contents inside is, and the idea of this thing is just, this is a real life manifesto of affirmations,
Charlie said it's like, I said this and I got rich.
Yeah. Oh, what a C63, the car. Basically, he just
told him himself.
Yeah. He said he's gonna get this car, and 2 years later he got it.
Yeah.
And by just reading this thing. So like his photos, like a little aesthetic, whatever. And the idea is basically, when you're reading this thing, this is something that you read every single morning in the theta state, like Andro said, before you go to bed.
Well, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it the theta state.
You don't have to, but I mean, Charlie got this from Sam Ovens, right?
Yeah, and Sam Ovens got it from Socrates.
But the idea is to basically read this thing every single day, and then you will adopt the paradigm of the person that's needed to create this lifestyle. So here's things like Quinton Weber, identity, lifestyle, business and health, sort of. And then it literally says like, got 1 million rand worth of watches. I'm wearing all black, natural clothing, whatever your goal is. And by reading this, visualizing it, you're basically affirming it every single day. And then just more quality stuff, more like at the back, you would be things like Quinton Weber goals. And then traits and
character
styles
traits.
And So you're basically creating a video game character for someone that's into gaming. Create a video character of someone that your ideal lifestyle. Write down everything, the traits, what he wears, the color of his hair, the clothing, the cars he drives, his lifestyle, what he's known for, how do people in the community see him. And then you start to adopt the traits of that person, and then you'll start to see those opportunities pop up during the day. And that is exactly what this podcast is supposed to be all about, is the paradigms. Is you are adopting the paradigm needed to be this person by changing the paradigm you currently have, the mental construct that is not benefiting that character. And that's basically all it is.
And that's why it's so important to get clear on what you want. Like, that's extremely difficult. People are just like, oh, what do you want? Oh, a nice car. It takes like years to, even decades sometimes, to know what you
really want.
Yeah.
And when I was working through that self-transcender worksheet, it probably took me, it took me a day to finish it, but it took me 3 weeks, about a month to really finish it. You know what I mean? Like, I wrote it like what I want, whatever, but and then like the self-transcender worksheet, you said you must be very specific, right? The color of the car, the date you want it, and I was like, let me just get a broad perspective. But the more in detail you go, the more anxious you get, because then you realize you don't really know what you want, and you don't even really know what it takes to get what you want in the first place. And to actually write that down makes things so clear that you're actually anxious and scared of the input that's needed to create that reality. I read a quote once that said, we are afraid that we can actually achieve the things that we set out to achieve in the first place, and then we don't even set those goals initially. Because you know you can actually achieve it. It just takes a lot of work. And then what that just means is you need to take responsibility for it. And if you don't have it, that just means that you suck. That you didn't put in the work. Because you can actually achieve that goal. Does that make sense what I just said now?
Yeah, so I don't think people are scared of failure. People are scared of success, right? Like, I'm not really scared of failure. Like, I know when I put something out there, like, it's going to happen. But I know it's going to take a lot of work. And that's what people are actually scared of, is the inputs that are required to actually achieve that goal. Like, people aren't really scared of failure. They're scared of success and, actually putting in that work, because they know if they really want it, like, if you really want something, right, you will make it happen.
But and you know that is true. You know that is true.
Basically,
yeah, that is 100% true. We are scared of the fact that we know it's possible to achieve things, but we're just not putting in the work. And that's basically what it is. I mean, I'm 100% in that boat. Like, obviously, I'm not perfect either. We're still working through that. Because that is what the masculine pursuit is all about. Is we don't find this, that's just under high masculine energy individuals. That seems a bit woo-woo, but it's to an extent, it's fairly scientific. It's about the book, this is The Way Superior Man from David Data. He talks about that. The masculine pursuit, we find purpose not in the goal itself, but in the pursuit of a goal. So, and that's, we previously talked about that as well. It's like you have a goal, when you achieve it, back in the game the next day. You don't really care about the goal.
We talked about that on the previous one as well. Like, you already felt the emotions of achieving it. So when you achieve it, it's just like, I thought I'm going to feel different.
Yeah,
but you don't.
It's not. And it's actually, then you come to realize after achieving a couple of goals that it's not the goal in and of itself, but it's the pursuit of the goal that makes it purposeful and worthwhile to you. It's about and that's once again cliche. It's like, it's just about the journey, whatever, and you need to enjoy the way there. But like, I mean, bro, like that's what it is, what it's about, It's about little by little pushing out of your comfort zone and looking back, and then, or like 2 years ago, like if I knew I was shooting a podcast or going to fly to Greece to shoot a podcast and to do some client work there, like I would never believe it. But looking back at it now, like, it's not like I'm feeling super proud of myself. It's like, because I am the person now that it is, It's like looking back at, like, for example, your life, how do you feel immensely proud?
No. Like I feel like I'm never doing enough.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like I thought in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, it's like, the day that I make 60,000 Rand a month, I will be financially free and I'll be so happy and I will never claw with enigiets, Now it's like, to an extent, you achieved a lot of the goals that you set out to achieve and nothing really changed, I mean, or maybe a lot of things changed. It's just because we've been in that mindset that it just feels natural now.
Yeah. Like, also in the book, it also talks about stop waiting for completion of anything. A lot of people think, I'm going to achieve this goal. And then once I achieve that, it's all good. It's never going to be like that. I felt my absolute richest when I was working with Iman, making like $3,000 a month. Like that was because 0 to there is like, whoa, but the more I make is like, I'm feeling broker because I'm comparing myself to other people making like $1 million a month. So the gap is getting bigger. So that causes the pain. But also like, the root of all pain is desire, as like Buddha said. So might need 0 desires, but also like I want some desire. So I will put up with the pain, because I'm obviously not there yet. And that causes pain, the gap. That also ties into sales. Like you want to kind of, define the current situation, define the desired situation, then that gap causes pain. And people buy because of pain. So you need to highlight both of them. And I think Naval also said like, desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you fulfill that desire.
That is good.
But I don't think the goal is to be happy. Maybe that's a good subject to explore.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it's happiness. A lot of people don't. Like I don't know. Like I really don't know.
Yeah.
But
currently at this moment,
is like fulfillment is more. I'm fine with that.
I mean, I'm gonna quote something that Andrew Tate once said. You can think about him however you want. I like this idea of Andrew Tate. Okay,
it's not like you like Andrew Tate. You like the idea.
I'm quoting someone from something from everyone. It's like anyway. So he basically just said that what he chases in life is not to be happy every single day, because then he'll probably just be drunk or high on a type of drug or whatever. He chases to be proud of himself every single day. And that makes sense to me. At the moment, in my point of my life at the moment, it's to be proud of myself every single day. Because what does that mean? Like, I mean, the byproduct of that can be happiness, but the byproduct of being happy every single day can't be proud. And proud is linked to something that you have achieved from setting a goal. Or you know what I mean? Like, you set a goal and you achieved it, now you're proud of yourself because of it. That, to an extent, is the embodiment of improvement or accomplishment. And I find that to make the most sense at the moment in my life currently. If you're chasing happiness the whole time, like, it might be good now in this present moment, but on an extended time frame, it's just ignorant bliss. Because if you're choosing happiness now, like, technically putting in the work now.
Like I'm happy now, though.
Yeah, but it's
a byproduct.
This is a good point. We are basically all chasing happiness. Some of us just realize that you sometimes have to sacrifice the present moment's happiness for future long-term happiness. Because if you were just chasing happiness the whole time, like you would just be playing video games, drinking, doing like drugs or whatever.
That is fun. Like it is fun.
It is what it is. That's just true. It has a trade-off.
But like it's either short-term pain or long-term pain. This is a very good thing to understand. Like either way, you will experience pain. You will experience pain in the short term, and you'll get happiness in the long term. Or you can experience happiness now, but pain in the long term. So either way, you will experience pain. So either path, hedonistic lifestyle, drugs, alcohol, party, that kind of stuff, that's fun now, but pain later because you are depressed and you're not achieving anything in life.
And you can't afford a family, take care of people, and that's a big thing is technically we are technically choosing to be or to pursue happiness, but it's just through a different method, So because we obviously want to be happy, who doesn't want to be happy, or fulfilled? And okay, there might be a difference between those two things, but we are willing to give up the present moment currently for a secured long-term happiness through financial, freedom, because that is to an extent the root of most, like security and freedom equals ease of happiness, or you know what I mean? It's easier to be happy if you don't have excess problems that can be solved through finances. Finances isn't equal to happiness, but it can definitely buy you out of a lot of unhappiness.
Oh, there was this quote that I want to remember. Like, I think money doesn't buy happiness, but it buys the things that you'll be happy without, or something like that. I can't quite remember it, but hopefully we can maybe like unpack that. It's like, when you don't have food, you don't have, shelter, that kind of like the basic needs, you will be unhappy.
Yeah.
But if you have money to afford that, then it won't necessarily make you happy, but it won't make you unhappy.
On the end of the day, I think we all know it's like your perspective and paradigm that you adopt creates your sort of your life. And you can be happy with not a lot of things. Like, I mean, it's possible to just in that moment detach from the emotions that you're feeling and then just decide to be content and happy and whatever, fulfilled, but it's very difficult to do that if you don't have a house to live in. So I mean, I think a good goal would be is to get some sort of financial gain, have a house, and then when you have the house, it's easier then to choose happiness because your environment doesn't make it as tough to do so. And I think other thing as well as I also wanted to talk about was, yes, this is what it is. Your goal and your current circumstance is both a indicator of happiness. And it's the gap between those two that
causes unhappiness.
Causes happiness or unhappiness. So you either can bring your current circumstances to your goal, and then the gap is smaller, and then you'll increase happiness, fulfillment, whatever that means to you. Or you can bring down your goal to your circumstances and then once again feel that happiness, contentment that you desire. But there's one very crucial difference here is that whatever the goal is, if you bring your circumstances to the goal, the negative thing is there's more effort involved here. But the positive thing is that you'll get whatever byproduct the goal is. And if you bring your goal down to your circumstances, the good thing is won't be as much effort, but the byproduct is you just won't get whatever the byproduct of the goal is. Yeah. So for example, if the goal is to make a lot of money and your current situation is you don't have a lot of money, by putting in more effort, which is the cost of it, the byproduct is that you'll achieve the goal, but the byproduct is you'll have more money. You know?
Like a good way to sum that up is either increase sacrifice or decrease desire. So that's like a good thing to sum it up. Perfect. Either way, it's fine. Like there's no good or bad, but it's just like which one will provide you with the most fulfillment or happiness or the emotion you're after.
And fair enough. No one really knows. Like, I mean, obviously we are on the path of trying to,
I don't think we'll ever figure it out.
No. Yeah. I think you can, there's probably a right way to do everything in every different, everything is probably the right way and the wrong way, So, I mean, the current paradigm that we have, sort of adopted is we are willing to pay the price for the current goal because that makes the most sense at the moment. And I, too, want to drive a nice car and have a lacquer watch, So, for me, the price of that is to to work harder, and I'm willing to pay that price by sacrificing, like Andro just said now, more things, which is alcohol, any drugs, no smoking, not going out on the weekends. Like it's cliche thing, but if you think about it, those things just take you further away from your goal. You can probably achieve those goals by doing those things, fair enough. But like, obviously, I want to achieve them also as fast and as efficiently as possible. And by also detoxing dopamine and not getting dopamine from those things, I think Andro said this previously, like you'll actually then get dopamine from the hard work in and of itself. Because if you stop tapping into alcohol for dopamine, you need to get dopamine from somewhere. And if you then change it into you getting dopamine from results, it's like, bruh, you're literally feeling good while working hard because you are addicted to the results. That's probably in like a vice in and of itself, like somewhere in there, but which can probably be obsession. But yeah, I mean, that just makes the most sense to me, is try and construct your life in a way that you receive dopamine from working hard, because the byproduct of that is results that lead to freedom and a good life, you know?
So let's say like happiness is well explained through like, it's like your compass. If you are unhappy, it's like you are not in the right direction. So happiness is just like a compass. It's not like the goal. It's just to see if you're on the right path. Okay. And another thing I want to add, like with the journey, and it's all about the journey, but without a destination, you won't have a journey. So like you need to kind of spend a lot of time and effort on your destination, because like I think another I think it was Kapil who said this, like for example, like a metaphor, like there's a coin in the couch, like that's like your goal. It just says it's a goal. How would you get that coin? Like a lot of people's way of achieving that is to just put their hand in the front, put their hand in the back of the the couch, maybe lift up the cushions. So either way, the goal is just the main thing. But a lot of people focus on how they actually get to the goal, when the main thing is just to get to the goal. A lot of people focus on prescriptions. That's like how to do it. But actually what you want to focus on is what do you want? Like, what's the goal? And then if the goal is established, you will make it happen. But a lot of people just focus on, okay, should my hand go this way? Or should I go under the cushion? Or should I go from the back?
Yeah.
You shouldn't focus on that. Focus on the coin. Because like, if the coin is there, like, you will just get it either way. You just, doesn't matter how you get it. You just need to focus on the goal.
It's the unknown that leads to inaction of trying to reach for the coin in the first place. And now you got the goal, but you have no idea how to get there. And it's exactly the darkness of that. It's the and a lot of philosophers and psychologists talk about this in different ways, but it's that the darkness, the unknown, the shadow. It's that time period that you have to take action without really knowing what to do, how to do it, but you do it anyways out of faith or whatever it might be. As like long as that takes you closer to the goal. But you won't know what action to take until you take some action, analyze situation, realize that this might not be the right way, and then change it.
But like the thing is, you don't need to know how. Because like I said with the coin, you don't need to know how. You just need to know what.
Yeah.
And then you will just figure out a way out. But a lot of people are focused on the way out, that they don't focus on the goal.
And but that leads to inaction. So a lot of people believe that they need to know. But you don't need to know.
You literally don't.
The thing is, the only thing that will stop you is literally you not taking action. Because if you physically have a goal, you want to make $100,000 a month, and you take action to it, if you physically fail for 5 years straight, but you document the journey, like you analyze, okay, I did drop shipping, I suck at this, or I did this and that, and you change it, and maybe you start something, like you will make it happen if you just never stop taking action and then building off of your failures. Because, and this is something like when I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and to an extent I'm still figuring it out, but I actually learned something from Jordan Peterson. He basically said is set a goal, take action towards the goal, and then even if you don't even know what the goal in and of itself is, your goal will change and your means to get to the goal will change as well. But by just not taking action because you don't even have a goal in the first place, in and of itself will then never happen for you. Set a goal, take action, and then constantly analyze the goal and the situation until you get something that finds purposeful.
Like he who has a why can bear almost any how.
Fair enough.
So if you have a why, and I would recommend not being it your selfish, your ego needs, because at the start, you're going to self-sabotage a lot. That's essentially where you are like building towards a goal and then you break down the foundation because you deep down don't really like yourself. That's why you want to achieve these goals. It's because you want to achieve a different character. If you were happy with yourself and your current situation, you would just be content and happy. Like, Buddha, just like fine with nothing, no desires. But the reason you want to achieve those goals is because you want to be a different person. So you deep down, you don't like yourself. Okay. So that's why, an entrepreneurship is extremely painful. And we touched on this as well. Like your past pain of what you went through is, more than the pain of entrepreneurship. That's why you pursue entrepreneurship. So you had to kind of, all these successful guys like Iman as well, like he went through a lot of shit, So the pain of entrepreneurship, which is extremely painful, was less than the trauma he experienced. So that's why he pursued it, and that's why he ultimately actually achieved that goal. If you have a why, like your why is essentially to help your family. That's much better. Like you would, work much harder for your family than yourself because you self-sabotage because deep down you really don't like yourself.
Where did you get that? Was that Simon Sinek's book? Did you read that?
I haven't read that yet.
That's a good book. Read that book. Start with Why from Simon Sinek. He's got a couple of business books. I think he's like a business coach or whatever. Go read his books. Really good.
Yeah, like another thing with like the why, I actually want to unpack that a little bit. Like a lot of people are focusing on the why. I think the why isn't like this big purpose thing. It's just like anything because there's no real meaning. We can actually end with this, like what's the meaning to life? I think there's like there's three answers to this. Like the first one is your own personal meaning. The second one is just like there's no meaning at all, so you create your meaning. That almost ties in with the first one. And the third meaning, which Naval like mentioned as well in his book, like the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, he said like every like productivity and technology improvements all lead to like acceleration of the human, intelligence and the human productivity and stuff, which leads to, I'm not completely butcher this, but it's extremely scientific, where essentially we are speeding up the death of the universe or something like that, where we're getting closer to the sun and increasing the energy and just like, because over 10 billion years or so, I'm not quite sure what the number is, like the earth is going to extremely evaporate because of the sun's energy or stuff. So we're just accelerating that process, but obviously it will take a lot of time, but that's like the third reason. That's like our purpose essentially, because
that sounds crazy. I don't even know
I completely butchered that, but it's in the book.
Okay, fair enough.
That we can unpack the two
that
ones.
Is for the past 3 years I've only analyzed and read books and listened to podcasts from the greatest thinkers of all time. Highly recommend. That's the best thing you probably will ever do. If any subject that you've ever wanted to know, any question, it's written in a book somewhere and someone probably devoted their entire life to answer that question.
And people aren't reading it.
And you think you are better than them to not read it. What? Go read Marcus Aurelius' book. Or Epictetus or whoever. Socrates, Plato, best books of all time. Read those books. This is a very difficult thing, is because, for example, if you adopt a mindset of, let's say, a monk or Buddha, being content with nothing, his entire life was I think that's, I would feel confident enough to say that is a religion. Buddhism is probably based off of that. I'm not sure what Buddhism is based off of, but there's people that 100% dedicate their life to that purpose. And I think it's stupid, fair enough. I don't think you should be content with everything, because then you probably not pursue more things. And how can you be secure in life without?
Well, let's say you have the security.
But if you have, I don't know. This is a difficult question.
This is a good question. What would you do if $1 billion was deposited in your bank account? Would you do the same thing?
But that is different, because, fair enough. You should maybe then operate out of that perspective. Is that what you mean? Should you decide your life's purpose by operating from that perspective?
I think maybe after 2-3 years, once you've actually secured your needs of making money, then you can focus on that. When you are just making money, you are extremely focused on yourself, because obviously you are operating out of a state of lack. So it's all about you, ego, me. But the thing is, when you start signing clients, you sign more clients, because you are not operating out of a state of lack. So people can feel that energy. So you want to operate out of a state of abundance, whatever cliche cringe that sounds, but it's much better because people can feel that energy. It's oh, you don't want to buy? Okay, it's fine. And they're wow, what? This guy doesn't need my stuff. And then you operate out of a state of abundance, and they're much more inclined to actually buy. then you operate out of state. Like it's also like a relationship. Like when someone is needy, well, some people prefer that, but anyway, when you're like extremely needy and you want this person, especially if a guy, like a girl hates that. Just of my experience, not my personal maybe. Well, but anyway,
that's actually masculine and feminine energy. Like high masculine men like more needy because needy afhankelijk like. That is
depend,
a feminine
like they
trait.
Depend of you. Like that's a nice thing for guys. Like they like
if
that
they're
to
high
provide,
masculine,
to like spoil. That's nice.
But
that's
then
nice.
the byproduct, like this is a quick thing we can quickly just divert into. So, for example, high neediness is a feminine trait, and that is a lot of men love that. But then when the emotions of the woman then fluctuate a lot, because that's also part of it, is they're a high feminine energy is very dependent on the emotional state to take action. So they are very, to an extent, needy, but also the emotions fluctuate a lot. And then very masculine men that are attracted to very feminine women are completely the opposite in both of those situations. They don't fluctuate at all with their emotions. They're very stoic. Their emotions don't dictate their actions whatsoever, because no matter how you feel, you need to get the work done to provide for your family. Or if someone breaks in, you need to protect. Or back in the day, we had to go jag wildebeest or something. Like no matter how you felt, you just had to do it. And then you are not needy at all. So you actually love the neediness, but you hate the constant flux of emotion because you are not that. And then for the women again, it's like they like the strong, like the stability of the high masculine man, and then they absolutely, they sometimes can despise don't understand why you're so lack of emotion, you don't care about me. And I'm not saying this is about all men and all women. I'm talking about high masculine energy in usually men and high feminine energy in usually women. That's how and then the more it comes in the middle, the more everything, gets in the middle, if that makes sense.
But that also attraction comes from polarity, like plus minus in a battery. Like you have the plus minus that obviously creates the circuit of energy. So if you have, that's what happens in a lot of relationships as well. Like the man and the woman is in the same masculine, feminine. Like it's a spectrum. You're not masculine or feminine. It's like how masculine are you?
Yes,
how feminine?
Yes.
And a lot of men and women are like 50-50. So then they are friends, and then they resent each other because like you can't have a follower and a leader. Like you need a follower and a leader, like in any, like in an army or whatever. You can't just have followers. So you need the polarity of masculine, feminine, and then there's attraction. Plus minus.
And it's good what Andro just said now, because in every situation, the polarities will try and equalize itself. So let's say, for example,
where balance comes
and it's not right or wrong to be highly masculine or highly feminine. For example, I would say I'm definitely more masculine. By nature as well, but I would say I'm probably like 70% masculine, 30% feminine. If you would go from these metrics, there's probably different ways to measure this. And the relationship that I with my girlfriend is definitely she's definitely high feminine 70%, and I would say masculine 30, maybe even 80% feminine, 20%. So and it's every moment. For example, I have a very, very tough day at work or something happened in family or whatever, and I tend to then dive a bit more into my feminine energy and be more emotional. And then let's say, for example, and I would tap into more emotions. Then my feminine energy would rise, and then unconsciously, my girlfriend must match me in those polarities to stabilize the polarity. So then, if I'm a bit more emotional, she needs to be more stoic and not, I'm emotional now, she's emotional, and then it's just all over the place. She has to then adopt the masculine role, and that's what makes a good relationship, is to be able to tap into both of those energies when the partner needs it.
So see, that ties back into balance. Like people think balance is all 50-50. No, balance is 100% masculine, 100% feminine. That's balance. But people just think, it's 50-50, like I have to be masculine and feminine. No, that leads to resentment because there's no attraction. So, like I don't like a boss bitch at all. Just like, because they are usually extremely masculine, and that just clashes with me. So I need like extremely feminine.
There's people that like that. That's that's very, very high feminine.
But you see that a lot.
But I mean that also just doesn't make sense to me at all, because then the role in the relationship completely gets reversed. And I believe full-heartedly that, there might be some circumstances it's not like that, but I believe that most men are born and want to be in a masculine, essence. And exactly with women, they want to be in a feminine essence. Like men don't want love or don't need love, or happiness, or they want respect. That's what it is. You as a man seek respect, not necessarily love. Obviously there's a time and place for everything, but if there's one thing a man needs or would want, it will probably be respect in all, especially from their woman. It's not necessarily love. And that's completely the opposite for a woman to an extent. Like they want to feel loved. They want to feel loved. Obviously respected as well. But it's more the flow of love, and it's that emotional state that gets fluctuated. It's the way how they take action is much more based in the emotions that they feel at that present moment. And I feel like if you are very feminine by nature, you will unconsciously have a lot of like, a bit irritated, like
emotions,
especially and especially with women as well. Like if she asks you where to go for dinner and you say, wherever you want to go, like instantly you can see like, she's a bit irritated. And it's because you are not fulfilling your masculine role in that moment. And this might sound super stupid, but she is casually, unconsciously challenging you a bit there. It's like she wants you to say where we're going to eat. It's a masculine thing. It's like we're going to eat.
It's called the shit test. Like they do that to see if you are actually solid. They do that on purpose. Like you could... I like all these ideas we get from other smart people. Like I got this from David Data in The Superior Man. Like he said, like they shit test you on purpose. Like you should actually welcome that because you want to make sure you are operating out of your masculine state. And she does those tests to see if you're still solid and the rock in the foundation. And if you're not, like there's going to be some little bit of resentment. Obviously not a lot, but over time, that leads to resentment.
And I actually just realized this right now, and I felt like sharing this right now, is the beautiful part about this podcast and these ideas is that what we're saying can completely be wrong for example, you, if you don't choose to adopt this paradigm. What's good about this podcast is it's the embodiment of discourse between ideas. So we're sharing ideas that obviously works for us and so I would say we have obviously a bit more, authority for speaking on these topics because the past 4 years I've devoted to, reading all these things. So while we're pursuing the journey of what it means to be a good man, we're obviously sharing these ideas. So you don't necessarily have to adopt this idea, but it's good to know this paradigm. This paradigm exists. Now go research it, compare it to what you believe currently. And if you benefit from these ideas, adopt it or don't. That is obviously up to you. That's what I've done by listening to Chris Williams, Alex Hormozy, Joe Rogan. If you listen to those people speaking with the greatest minds of all time, you get to notice new paradigms, and then you lay your paradigms and your ideas on the table and then mix it together, figure out what works best then, and then keep that. And that's what this is all about. When we're talking about relationships or feminine, masculine energy, whatever, if it doesn't really resonate with you, fair enough. I would highly recommend go do your research because the book that I read made 100% sense about it. And I actually asked my girlfriend to read the book as well, and she related with the book 100%. So it works for us, works for Andro. So I felt like just saying
and also
that.
You never learn anything new by someone who only agrees with you. Like if someone is only agreeing with you, yes man, you never learn something new. So maybe there's a clash in, paradigms or anything like that. You need to realize that and actually pinpoint it and see why did you get emotional. Maybe because like there's a clash between paradigms, so like you need to be able to remove your ego with it and just see it at face value.
That is difficult because no one likes to be wrong, and there's something in that. Like, why do we not like to be wrong? Do we feel like then there's some byproduct of the other person thinks you're stupid? Like, what is it in that makes it feel bad for you to be able to say that you're wrong? I'm actually very surprised Andro and I have not yet come to a disagreement on the podcast so far, because we actually do come into a lot of disagreements, especially like in the car when we talk about things. But what is good is he obviously reads and listens to things that I don't obviously read and listen to, and vice versa. And then we come from two different worlds, we put it together, and then we sort of keep what works for us. And that's actually what makes debates and conversations with great minds so interesting, is because the entire life is based off of operating from a certain paradigm or mental construct, and they've achieved success. And by listening to different paradigms, you might relate to someone more than someone else. And by adopting that paradigm, it gives you more strength to operate out of. But by operating out of a lack of ignorant information, like you're ignorant to the fact that there's more information out there, and you're operating out of the lack of that, you will feel despair and there's no point in life because you don't know what you don't know. There's no point. You'll never be able to make it because it's so difficult. It's like, no, there's someone out there that has achieved the goal that you have out of worse circumstances that you are in right now by just adopting a certain paradigm. You just need to find that paradigm, and you find that through podcasts, books, whatever it is.
And also don't think like people say ignorance is bliss, but I heard a thing like Tony Robbins said like ignorance is poverty. Like if you see someone who's ignorant of the facts, they are usually poor in all aspects of life. So don't, obviously I was ignorant in like, when I was 16 and younger, like, eating Doritos chips and like that was fun and stuff, but I was poor. So if you want to be rich in life in all aspects, not just money, you need to actually consume the right information and not be ignorant of the facts.
Andro's basically saying if you're eating Doritos, then you will stay poor. So throw the package away, bro.
I haven't seen a rich guy eat Doritos. That's all I said.
And if he does, he's not rich, bro. Yeah. He might have a lot of excess money, but he's not rich. That's what it is. That's the thing. A lot of people you must become aware of what it is to be rich for you. There's something to be said about having money in overflow and excess, and that is good. I think a lot of problems can stem from that as well. A lot to do with ego and pride and stuff like that, and that's something to have and to keep into control. But rich for me, and that's something to identify. And put that in your self-transcendent worksheet, brother. Identify what is rich to you and what your goal is and what does that mean. But rich, what it means for me is to be able to provide and to be the best version of yourself. And that is sort of what it is. To take care of the people around you, to be respected. That's something that I desire, is to be respected by myself and by the people around me. And to, you do that through financial gains, but also to look good, to be healthy. And I absolutely love it to chase the better version of myself. Like that is what I find very purposeful.
And the cool thing is like when you are chasing the better version of yourself, you do that through setting goals. Because like I said in the previous one, you don't achieve the goals, you achieve the person who can achieve those goals. So the only way that you can become the best version of yourself is to set very high goals. And then you're also in the pursuit. Then you're also fulfilling your masculine essence. So that's why it's so important to set goals, because you're becoming someone that you respect, and also you're fulfilling your desires and actually becoming fulfilled in life. So goals, extremely important.
Goals, yes, very important. Just like basically just one more idea that I want to work through is Alex Hormozy said in a reel that he made recently. He basically said he woke up and he felt sad. He victimized the situation. He felt depressed, and then he got mad and angry
for being sad.
For being sad and victimizing that situation because he's so self-aware. Because he's so self-aware, he realizes that nothing good's come from victimizing yourself. So he got mad, and then out of that state of anger, he went to the gym. And then he actually went to them, he hit the gym. After the gym, he felt proud of himself for not letting his victimization of the situation withhold him from pursuing his goal and going to the gym. And then he felt good. Come on.
So he turned sadness into
emotion,
pride or achieving your goals, basically.
Like, isn't that the best way to look at it? I've really actually dived into that sort of way of looking at it, and I really can't find a negative. Like, please, someone take me on in the comments and tell me that is not a good, probably one of the best ways to look at it.
Because energy can't be created or destroyed, only transferred. So if you are feeling like that's the best emotion you can feel, like the only one when you are broke, like use that anger. Because you can either use that anger in, going to the gym, or you can use that anger in getting frustrated.
It's gonna be used, bro.
Yeah,
it's
either
gonna
way.
Be used.
So use it in the right direction.
Transfer it into the better, But the difficult thing might be, and this is where I believe the term enlightenment stems from, or becoming self-aware, or whatever, is to become consciously aware of the fact that you are the thing observing those thoughts and emotions. So you are feeling sad. The only reason why Alex could turn that into anger, then hit the gym, and then feel prideful, and then feel good, is because he was aware of the fact that he can consciously decide to detach from that, to transfer it into something else and to create something else. He is not the sadness. He is the thing observing the sadness. And that's what gives you power, is by knowing that, by being self-aware. If you didn't know that you are not your emotions, then the only way out was to feel that and experience it. But now, if you feel sad and depressed, it's like, and go and analyze this. Like, this is legit, like 100% like a fact. When you feel depressed or sad or anxious, whatever, you can physically sit there, close your eyes. It's probably the easiest to close your eyes. And then to analyze that you can actually observe yourself feeling that emotion by detaching from it. And then that means that you are not your emotions. You are the thing observing it. And then by doing that, you can then change or transcend that emotional state into something that's more beneficial. And you might need to do that by transferring the energy into something that you can operate out of. You might not operate out of depression and anxiousness into something productive. So change it. You are depressed? Fair enough. That happens. Now, change it into anger. I know this is bad. I mustn't be like this or whatever. And then hit the gym. Do something productive. Operate out of that state. And then that turns into, once again, I'm happy and proud that I didn't let the victimization state withhold me from taking action. That's what what works for me at the moment.
Like, depression is a biological thing. You should be so thankful of depression, because it's like an emotion telling you something is wrong. If you didn't have that depression, you thought like, oh, it's like ignorant bliss. It's like that, but just without the bliss, okay? So you're just ignorant. But it's like a emotion, and a lot of people say, it's like a DNA type of thing, maybe like 5%. But like, why would you just think of, like I said, with the paradigms as well, like just think that it can change. Like, why would you victimize yourself and say, oh, it's uncurable?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's just like, it is what it is. Why not just use that emotion and realize like you can actually use that and transfer it and transcend it into something productive? You should be thankful of that emotion, because it says to you biologically that something isn't right. Something is wrong with your life. So just be thankful of it, not like criticize or something.
I am completely not ignorant at all to the fact that we are two random dudes talking about depression and giving you advice. That is not what this is about. We are sharing what we believe to be true. You might sit there on the other side of this video and maybe actually experience what you believe to be depression or anxiety, and hearing this might completely like battle your paradigm, and you might instantly experience resentment and hatred towards us. Fair enough, bro. That, once again, is just a paradigm. So whether or not what we are saying is true, it has 100% worked for us, and I've not experienced depression and anxiety that could withhold me from taking action. Obviously, I experience depression and some forms of anxiety, but by doing what I'm saying right now is helping me work through that. I don't adopt the paradigm of depression is real and I will be influenced by it. There's no point in believing that, because there's a study done that says that and I'm going to completely butcher this as well. It's also just a study that I've read. But it basically says that everything that happens for you is most probably, reliant off of the belief of you believing that it will work in and of itself. Let's say, for example, you purchase a course and you get results from it. Yes, fair enough. The course might have helped you to reach those goals, but it's your belief in the product in and of itself that actually made the results. You could buy a terrible course or a good course, and it will probably give you the same results. If the belief in yourself to make it happen through the course is there, you will get it. And that is basically what it is. Does that make sense? Or does that not make sense at all?
And like what did it start off?
The belief of the thing in and of itself creates the result more than what the actual means of it does.
Yeah. So it all starts with your belief and your paradigm. And if you don't see anything, you should see everything that happens to you as positive and as a way of directing you to the right path. Like even if something bad happens. That's a paradigm,
yes.
And bad can be like, depression, anxiety, or that leads you to the right path. You should adopt that paradigm, because why shouldn't you? Like why would you believe in anything that hinders your growth? Why would you ever believe that? Like, even I think Andrew Tate said as well, like, if he got shot in the head, he would still live. Maybe that's delusional, but like, why would you believe else?
Dude,
why would you ever believe
that is what it
something
is.
else?
Even if you take it from a religious perspective, like me going to church now for about like 3 months, from a Christian perspective, that's exactly what we do as well, is we believe, wait, now let me just make sure that I'm saying this correctly. We 100% believe that whatever happens in our life is intended from Jesus Christ to make that happen for you. That's his plan for you. So you are seeing that out of faith as a perspective of something positive. And by adopting that, you are surrendering into this paradigm that can only be good. Because let's say, for example, something terrible happens, and forbid, touch wood, that this doesn't happen. It's going to happen though. Is if someone in your life passes away. That in and of itself is not a good thing. Obviously, it's not a good thing. But if you see it out of a paradigm of, here's a lesson to be learned here, and the way I deal with this can positively influence the other person's life, then that can be shared as a testimony and be reacted in a positive way. Now, this is a quote. I know you know it from
the strongest.
Jordan.
Yeah. I already know. It's like,
how did we? I know you were going to say that.
It's the same frequency. It's like the greatest goal that leads to goals as well, or that ties into goals, is to be the strongest man at your dad's funeral.
That's a good goal to
That's
have.
like the best goal to have.
And like, why would you not want to adopt that paradigm? It's like, obviously you can sit there and your depression is justified because your father passed away. That is obviously true. But why would you want to adopt that if you know that it's going to influence you negatively? Because why are you doing that? You're basically choosing to, consciously or unconsciously, maybe you can't help it, and fair enough, like, because that is a bad situation. But you're basically giving into those emotions to basically victimize yourself to so that the
I think there's also like a nuance to that. Like, no, like, girl likes just a stoic guy. It's completely
you need
stoic.
to be emotional.
Yeah. Like, but at times, not emotional all the time. Like, you need to be able to be aware of
balance,
it.
polarity.
Yeah, it's like that comes back to balance. Like, no one just likes the stoic guy that's just you need some emotion.
If she's 100% feminine and you're 100% masculine, fair enough, bro. But you will probably never find someone like that. And you are definitely not 100% masculine. Like, Andrew Tate is probably 95% maybe, because I don't adopt that mindset or model, but anyways.
So, I think we can end it off there.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think let's end off with a quote. But like your base quote. Give me like a quote.
What's a good quote? So, without a quote, I'm going to take a quote from my Twitter, actually, or X, what do you want to call it. And this also ties in well with what we've been talking about on the pod. So, the path of least resistance never makes you happy. That's a good one. So, obviously, the path of least resistance is the one that's the easiest. That also ties in, like, obviously I don't want to make this too long. We're obviously ending off, but that's the reason why I chose like the agency model over like any others, because it's the most difficult path. And I knew if I did that, I would actually achieve the most, or not achieve, but get the most fulfillment of that. It's going through that difficulty. So least resistance, it's like the easy one, will never make you happy.
That's valid. I think a quote that resonates a lot with the podcast is, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you think you deserve, because what you think you deserve actually dictates your actions in the first place. And I think that's good. That is, adopt the paradigm and the mindset that you can achieve whatever you set out to achieve, and that will dictate your actions in the first place to take action to then actually achieve the thing in and of itself. So I think if there's one thing you can remember from this, is then you have control to change the way how you operate in your life by taking action of your unconscious mind consciously.
And every single successful guy knew they would make it before they actually made it. So let's
go.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching.